What's going on, party people, college hoops heads? This is another episode on the Center Hubs YouTube channel. We are here with NBA draft prospect Jonathan Pierre from Belmont University. I am here. My name is Stephen Bagel. I am joined by Julian Mendelson. Julian, before we introduce Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. By the way, I do want to quickly mention I am not a fan of Virginia. I had to drive down there to deal with a speeding ticket from our drive to Portsmouth. So I was not happy about that. But in terms of Portsmouth itself and getting to see Jonathan play and all that stuff, that was fun. So at least we got something good out of it, you know?
And Jonathan had the opportunity, we'll get into it, but also had the opportunity to play in the G League Elite Camp as well. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Blessed per usual. Got to see another day today, so I'm very, very blessed.
Absolutely. And we greatly appreciate you taking the time to, sit and talk a little, basketball with us, a little NBA draft with us. So let's just jump into it. So for those, I don't want to tell your whole story, but obviously you played the 2 years at Nova Southeastern, and your sophomore year there, you guys run the table, go undefeated, and win the Division II national championship. You then transfer to Memphis, probably don't get the amount of playing time you were expecting, and then you end up at Belmont, where you just played your senior year at. Sort of walk us through your hoops journey, if you will, of how you ended up where you ended up at each spot throughout your career.
Yeah. I played my first 2 years of high school. I played JV. Transferred over to play varsity, or transferred over to Hollandale to, get a different fit. Didn't play too much varsity my junior year. Senior year, I didn't even start. I'm 6'2" at the time, heading my senior year. From February to March, I had a growth spurt from 6'2" to 6'7". Um, Went to the tournament, the Big 8 tournament, which is the best team in Broward County, coming from South Florida. Nova Southeastern comes to recruit another player. Coach Fee sees me, gives me the interest. Had a couple of games after that, and landed my first Division II offer right before my senior season ended. Decided to commit. Didn't want any loans or anything like that. Just wanted to continue playing basketball. Uh, Freshman year, get to Nova. They're a pretty unique system. They press for 40 minutes, so it's just 94 feet of full court pressure, relentless pressure, and you're doing that for 40 minutes. So my body wasn't really accustomed to that yet. Dude, I just grew 5 inches. So I was very sparing time, but I found my way into the rotation heading into the Elite Eight, into the last couple of games of the season, which we lost that year in the Elite Eight. Um, After my freshman summer, or freshman year, I grew 2 more inches my freshman summer. So I'm at 6'9" now. So I go 6'2" to 6'9" within a year. Um, Work on my body. My sophomore year, I come out 36-0, 15 points a game, almost 50, 40, 90, averaging splits, 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio. Win a national championship, decided to enter the portal, go into the portal my sophomore summer, and then get 120 schools within 48 to 72 hours, from Big 10, Big 12, SEC, Ivy League, you name it, from low to high to mid. Decided going with Memphis, with Penny Hardaway. Was a learning experience for me. It's adjusting to the Division I level, and yeah, it wasn't really too long of a year. Like, it was a long year, but it wasn't too long of a year in terms of, like, accolades or stuff like that. Just a learning process for me to the Division I stage. Decided to hit the transfer portal my senior year, to Belmont in Missouri Valley. First team conference 2021 season. Portsmouth invite, played well enough to get a combine invite, and country to work out for these NBA teams to rise my draft stock.
Okay, so then I'm gonna ask one more question that Paulie's off of that, and then Julian could, ask a couple questions he has. So, I you could correct me if I'm wrong. I know you've recently worked out for Houston, Sacramento, and Memphis. How many
Yep.
NBA how many NBA teams have you worked out for thus far? If you know the amounts. Okay. And how many have you interviewed with? Because at Portsmouth, especially, there's a good bit of team interviews going on.
Yeah, I probably didn't interview with just 3 NBA teams throughout my entire process, but every
Okay.
single regarding Portsmouth and a combine.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, Julian.
Yeah, man. First off, I just want to say, like, most guys cannot quote their stats, accolades, and everything that they've done off the top of their head like that. I just want to say that's pretty impressive because that's one thing I've noticed about you in your game. And Steven, I have another question that popped up when you were not, Anyway, one question I have about your game is you talk about kind of going off of that, your IQ, your cerebralness, the way that you see the floor. Where does that come from, and how would you say that you've learned the game over the last few years?
I would say it had to come from just being short my entire life. Late blooming aspects really came in handy for my skill sets that I have now to feel I have because I wasn't always the tallest, wasn't always the most physical opposing. So I had to dominate the games in other ways. So when the height and everything came at a later date or a later time than most, it kind of like it took an adjustment period, obviously, with a new body, learning how to move and everything like that. But the overall feel, positional height, or positional skill, shooting ability, passing ability is something that I had to do when I was a lot younger and a lot shorter. So now that I had the height, it just kind of translated, naturally over time with playing and reps and, stuff like that.
All right. So, kind of talking about translating, in a couple interviews, you kind of talk about adjusting roles when you were going into Memphis. How does the role adjustment from Nova Southeastern to Memphis compare to the adjustment from Belmont to the NBA, where you're kind of in both situations going from being the guy to, having to fill a role?
Repeat that one more time. My bad.
No, you're good, dude. So like kind of when you were going into Memphis, you talk a bit about changing your role from being a star player at Nova Southeastern to having to find what your role is at Memphis. How is that kind of similar to the transition from Belmont, where you were the star player at Belmont, to now going into the NBA?
Same thing. NBA is a lot different. You're trying to get to the highest level and trying to stick. And like you gotta understand, you gotta star in your role because there's not a lot of guys that have the ability to take 15, 20 shots a night. They already have the guys, the 200, $250 million guys. So I think the transition period for me is going to be easy because I already had the IQ to adjust and I played every single role possible and have been in certain cultures, winning culture, maybe not so good of a culture to another winning culture. So I think my versatility is going to really show at the next level. And I understand I'm not going in there being arrogant or, coming in like, I'm going to take 15, 20. I'm trying to get to the top. You may have the opportunity if you star in your role for a long enough time, but coming off the bat, I think it's going to be a seamlessly easy transition. Not easy, but a transition that I've done before.
You actually answered my next question. I was going to ask what your mentality was like going into the draft, but it feels like you kind of answer that one too. In another interview, you kind of talk about your faith a lot. So I was just curious where that comes from, how that's been brought about and how that has an impact on your life.
Oh yeah, no, my faith in God has definitely brought me a long ways. I took some time with it to really grasp the concept and really, deepen my faith, especially when I went through hard times. So being grounded in my faith and, being more spiritually inclined than I've been in my previous years of life has definitely given me an edge, I feel like, on a basketball court and just the overall aspect of life because life is bigger than basketball. So when you look at it from that perspective, I think you just get the best version you get the best version of yourself on the court and off the court as well. So
that's a phenomenal answer. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Let me think off the top of my head if I have any other questions. I have one more. what did it feel? It was kind of a weird one, but what did it feel like? During your growth spurt. Like looking at yourself in the mirror at 6'2", and then not even a month goes by and you're 5 inches taller. Like what did that feel like for you?
I would say painful at first. I had Osgood slaughter, plantar fasciitis, if I'm saying that correctly. Back pain, new shoes, new clothes. I would definitely say it was an adjustment period for me. Obviously, anybody would be excited to receive that type of height in the fashion that I did, especially that late into my high school years. So I would say scary, fun, painful, all in one. It was a lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah, and you hear guys like I know Anthony Davis is a big example of it. That he grew up playing point guard, and then all of a sudden he goes to be almost 7 feet tall, and he uses that to his advantage because he still has guard-like skills. Do you think that you could do something similar since you grew up only being 6'2"?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm obviously not 7'1" like Anthony
Mhm.
Davis or close to that. And who knows if I can even get to that? Don't know. But I think I could do something very similar to that. Um, I just think I have a lot of untapped potential right now. So when after I see where I land in a couple weeks before the draft, just getting right into their system, getting straight to work in terms of my body, nutrition, skill work, and getting ready for summer league, I think I'll be able to, as I get more accustomed to my body, because it is a pretty new body still, even though I'm maybe 2.5, 3 years into it now. So yeah, I could definitely see something like that. Maybe not to the same blueprint, it might follow a little bit of a different blueprint, but I think something like that could happen.
So let's walk us through. You mentioned obviously the NBA draft, and again, that's only a couple weeks away. Walk us through, your pre-draft routine. Like, what is it? What is the day in the life of Jonathan Pierre like right now?
Day in the life right now. 6 a.m. wake ups. Start the day off pretty early. Start off with a good day of nutrition. Probably a cold shower, which I've been pretty consistent at. And then I would get with my movement specialist, Coach Kair. Start out day with mobility, like an hour of mobility with band stretching and taking care of the body. Then after that, we would hit the pool and do a lot of our explosive work because as I'm going through the process and I'm working out with all these teams, I'm already getting a lot of wear and tear just from the workouts alone. So we get our extra explosive work and our extra mobility work in the pool, non-impact. So that's every single day. And then you tap into our skill work with Remy Workouts, which is down in Miami, who trains all the NBA players. I'm doing my pre-draft with him. And then I'm also with Coach Josh Mendoza, head coach at Florida Memorial, time to time. So, yeah, with those two interchange, I always have Coach Kair in the morning, always have my skill work. Then I'll finish up with shots of the night, and then I'll have mobility again with my coach. So it's a pretty hectic routine for a pre-draft, but it's been very rewarding in terms of the body of work I'm producing in the workouts now.
Absolutely. And how would you say? Obviously, we talked about the Portsmouth invite. We talked about the G League Elite Camp. From somebody who started their career at Division II, played at a super high major like Memphis, and then obviously settled in at Belmont. Like, what was the competition like compared to what you were accustomed to at those
Uh,
events?
at the Portsmouth, and obviously a lot more talented guys, obviously a lot more physical, imposing dudes. I still want to give credit to Division II because I still feel like those type of players, they shoot the crap out the ball.
Mhm.
And probably a little more fundamentally sound. But when you go to Division I level, guys are a lot more physically imposing. So I would say that would be the biggest difference is the athleticism, the strength, the athletic ability. I would say was the biggest adjustment period. But I get accustomed pretty quickly.
So I have one more question, and Julian, if any of these questions made you think of anything else, feel free to jump in. But what do you want either NBA teams, G League teams, like people that are watching you, preparing you through, going through the draft process? What do you want those teams to know about you, both as a person and as a player?
Person as a player, you're getting a person that has a lot of potential, and every year he has gotten better. And my track record speaks for itself. Didn't play too much first year at my D2. I go in there my second year national championship blow up, going to the portal, didn't play too much. My year at Memphis, go to Belmont, first team all conference, and I know that's at the mid-major level, but every year, like I'm a very quick adjuster, very quick learner, and I'm the versatility. I've been coming off pick and rolls my entire life. For this year at Belmont, I was in the 97th percentile, and off of pick and roll reads, I'm able to set screens, pop, roll. I'm able to play off the ball, shake up, backdoor dunk. I'm a lob threat. Like you're getting a lot of versatility, and especially on a defensive end. And there's a lot of untapped potential in terms of, when I get into their programs in the weight room, the dietitian, nutrition, and you're getting a dude that's honestly like hungry and grateful, and it's an extra chip because I'm not coming in as a 4 or 5 star expecting this. I didn't even know I would be in this position. Now that I'm here, it's just it's a different chip on the shoulder that you don't get from people handing stuff out to you. This was a lot of grit and grind to get to where I am today. So that's the type of person and player you're getting, to answer both of that in one.
I know Julian just like the 97 percentile pick and roll that you just threw out there.
Yeah.
Julian, anything to add before we sign off?
I think we've ended on a great note.
Okay.
That was a phenomenal elevator pitch on why you deserve to get drafted.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, again, we are here on the Center Hub's YouTube channel with NBA Draft Prospect who, God willing, hears his name called on Thursday. What's the draft? The 25th, I think? June 25th?
25th and 26th.
25th and 26th. I keep forgetting it's 2 days now.
Yes,
But
sir.
be on the lookout for Jonathan Pierre. And otherwise, we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening.
Appreciate that, guys.